A small clay pot, no bigger than your hand, sat in a dusty museum drawer for decades. It seemed like an ordinary archaeological find, one among thousands from ancient Mesopotamia. But this particular artifact, discovered near Baghdad in 1936, held a remarkable secret. Inside its ceramic casing, a copper cylinder and an iron rod were carefully secured with bitumen. This peculiar arrangement, dating back perhaps 2,000 years, looked suspiciously like something we understand very well today: a battery. Could people from the Parthian or Sasanian empires have harnessed electricity? In the next few minutes, we will explore this intriguing possibility. We will unpack the mysteries of the Baghdad Battery, a device that fundamentally challenges our assumptions about ancient technology. The year was 1936, and workers near Kujut Rabu, Iraq, stumbled upon a rather curious object during an excavation. This area, located tantalizingly close to the ancient city of Ctesiphon, once served as the bustling capital of both the Parthian and Sasanian empires. The site had previously yielded a trove of artifacts, offering glimpses into these powerful historical periods. Among these numerous finds, one unassuming ceramic pot, standing approximately 14 centimeters tall, truly captured attention, albeit subtly at first. This particular vessel contained an expertly sealed copper cylinder, carefully positioned within its ceramic shell. Inside this copper, a singular iron rod was discovered, centered precisely. Both the copper cylinder and the iron rod were securely fastened together and held in place by stoppers of bitumen, a naturally occurring asphalt. This intricate assembly, dating from either the Parthian or Sasanian periods, immediately struck some observers as more than just a simple container. It was Wilhelm König, director of the National Museum of Iraq, who first suggested the artifact's radical interpretation in 1938. He proposed that this peculiar arrangement was not merely a pot, but an ancient galvanic cell, an early form of a battery. The precise construction, with its specific materials and their arrangement, seemed too deliberate for mere chance. The object itself presented a challenge to the conventional understanding of ancient technological capabilities. If König's hypothesis held true, it meant ancient civilizations might have possessed knowledge far more advanced than widely accepted. It was Wilhelm König, the director of the National Museum of Iraq, who in 1938 dared to propose a truly audacious idea about this strange artifact. After carefully examining the Baghdad Battery, König theorized that it was not merely a container, but rather an ancient galvanic cell. In other words, he believed it was a rudimentary battery, capable of generating an electric current. His hypothesis dramatically recontextualized the humble pot, shifting it from a simple curiosity to a potential cornerstone of ancient technology. The core principle of a galvanic cell is straightforward. Two different metals immersed in an electrolyte solution will produce a voltage difference. König suggested that an acidic liquid, such as vinegar, wine, or even fruit juice like grape juice, could have served as the electrolyte for the Baghdad Battery. If such a liquid were poured into the ceramic pot, it would react with the copper cylinder and the iron rod. This chemical interaction between the metals and the acidic solution would create an electrical potential. While the voltage produced by a single cell would likely be quite weak, perhaps less than a volt, it would nonetheless be an electric current. König's proposition was revolutionary because it suggested that the ancient Parthians or Sasanians possessed a sophisticated understanding of electrochemistry, a field typically associated with much later scientific advancements. The idea that these ancient peoples could have harnessed electricity, even in a primitive form, is profound. It forces us to reconsider the entire timeline of human innovation and scientific discovery. But how exactly would such an ancient device generate electricity, and what could they possibly have used it for? The answers are even more surprising. Understanding how the Baghdad Battery might have generated electricity requires a brief, simplified venture into the fundamentals of electrochemistry. A galvanic cell, often called a voltaic cell, operates on the principle of a spontaneous reduction oxidation, reaction occurring between two dissimilar metals. In the context of the Baghdad Battery, The two key metallic components acting as electrodes are the iron rod and the copper cylinder. When an acidic electrolyte, such as vinegar, wine, or even fermented fruit juice, is carefully introduced into the ceramic pot, it serves as the crucial conductive medium. The acid reacts distinctively with both the iron and the copper because these metals possess different electrochemical potentials. This inherent difference in reactivity drives a directed flow of electrons from one metal to the other, moving through the electrolyte solution. Specifically, the iron typically acts as the anode, undergoing oxidation by losing electrons. Concurrently, the copper serves as the cathode, facilitating a reduction reaction by accepting these electrons. This continuous directional movement of electrons constitutes an electric current. Modern scientific reproductions, meticulously crafted to replicate the Baghdad Battery's design and filled with common household acids like the acetic acid found in vinegar, have consistently proven its efficacy. These experiments demonstrate its unambiguous ability to generate a small but measurable voltage. Typically, a single functioning Baghdad Battery replica can produce an output ranging between 0.5 and 1.1 volts of electricity. While this output might seem modest compared to a modern AA battery, which provides 1.5 volts, it is nonetheless a tangible electric current. This voltage would be sufficient to power certain very simple, low-current applications, challenging preconceived notions about ancient technological prowess. The scientific principle behind its potential function is robust. The actual historical application, however, remains a persistent and fascinating subject of intense archaeological and historical debate. If the Baghdad Battery was indeed an electrical device, what purposes could the ancient Parthians or Sasanians have possibly envisioned for it? One of the most frequently cited potential uses, suggested by Wilhelm König and others, is electroplating. Imagine creating objects with a thin, decorative layer of gold or silver, not by hammering or heating, but by using a chemical process. A weak current, delivered by one or more Baghdad batteries connected in series, could facilitate the electrode position of precious metals onto base metal objects. This technique would allow artisans to produce beautiful, gilded items. They could use far less precious metal than solid gold or silver, making them more accessible and allowing for greater artistic detail. While archaeological evidence of electroplated artifacts from this period is scarce and largely debated, the theoretical possibility is captivating. Another fascinating, though more speculative, theory suggests the batteries could have been used for religious or mystical purposes. Imagine priests using the subtle electric shock from such a device to prove divine power during rituals. A slight jolt, delivered at a precise moment, could have been interpreted as a supernatural touch or a sign from the gods, adding to the awe and mystery of ancient religious ceremonies. We see examples throughout history where natural phenomena or clever devices were used to enhance spiritual experiences. However, it is critical to remember that while the battery could generate a weak current, there is no definitive historical or archaeological evidence directly linking it to either electroplating or religious magic. Its use for such purposes remains an intriguing hypothesis rather than a proven fact, fueling continued archaeological inquiry. But the story doesn't end with theories. Modern experiments have brought this ancient enigma to life, confirming its potential while deepening the overarching mystery. The ultimate test of König's hypothesis lay not in theory, but in practical application. Over the decades, numerous scientists and enthusiasts have embarked on replicating the Baghdad Battery. These modern experiments have consistently confirmed one crucial fact. The artifact, when filled with an acidic solution, unequivocally generates an electric current. By immersing a replica in solutions ranging from vinegar to lemon juice, researchers have reliably produced voltages within the 0.5 to 1.1 volt range. This successful replication provides compelling evidence that the Baghdad Battery was indeed capable of functioning as an electrical power source. However, confirming its functionality is only half the battle. The absence of other similar devices or concrete historical records describing their use continues to fuel skepticism among some scholars. While the Baghdad Battery's electrical capability is now largely accepted, its true purpose remains stubbornly elusive. Was it a novelty, a singular experiment lost to time? Or were there countless others that simply haven't survived or been discovered? The fact that it might have been a battery forces us to confront a significant possibility. Ancient peoples may have possessed a more sophisticated understanding of physics and chemistry than generally attributed to them. This challenges the linear progression we often assume for scientific advancement, suggesting pockets of ingenuity that might have been forgotten or deliberately hidden. This lingering uncertainty adds to the artifact's allure, making it a powerful symbol of the unknown potential residing within the depths of human history. The Baghdad Battery stands as a testament to humanity's enduring curiosity and capacity for innovation, regardless of the era. The Baghdad Battery, with its unassuming appearance, continues to hold a mirror up to our understanding of history and technology. It presents a tantalizing what-if scenario. What if ancient civilizations were on the cusp of discovering electricity millennia before Volta? While definitive proof of its intended use for electroplating or religious spectacle remains elusive, the scientific consensus is clear. The artifact found near Ctesiphon undeniably possessed the physical characteristics to function as a primitive battery. This small clay pot compels us to approach ancient history with renewed curiosity and humility, always open to the possibility that our predecessors were far more ingenious than we often give them credit for. The Baghdad Battery stands as a powerful reminder that history is not a closed book, but an ongoing discovery, perpetually challenging our assumptions.